Jason, starting in the mid 70s, you were on the scene in New York, and you started to do some work and record on your own. Could you talk to me about why and how you initially worked with Michael Brecker on your own recording?
I was a huge music fan. One of the things that people don't understand these days, and I keep on saying, what's really a mission of mine, is that you have to see credits. You have to know who is playing on this stuff, man. It just can't be faceless. And back then, as you and I both know, it was anything but faceless. The credits were there all the time, whether it was on the back cover or inside or something. You knew who was playing on what, And I started hearing the saxophone player, and especially on the first record, it was the Horace Silver in Pursuit of the 27th Man, When he did that solo on Gregory Is Here, I never heard anybody play a solo like that. And I wasn't that totally on top of John Coltrane. Even though I heard John Coltrane, I didn't relate to it because this saxophone solo was coming, it was more direct at you. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden I recognized his name was Michael Brecker. And I said, well, Michael Brecker, his brother is Randy Brecker from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. You know what I mean? By With Child as Father to the Man. So I following that a little bit, And then I met Randy in Indiana one time. That was a lot of fun, with Larry Coryell. Well, so anyway, I'm listening and I'm saying to myself, wow, Michael Brecker, this guy is just phenomenal. And I started hearing him more around New York, more on records. I had a friend named Sam Morrison, who was a tenor player, who knew Michael and everything like that. And I said, I'm going to do my own solo record, man. After I had done some demos, I tell you, man, I'd love to get Michael Brecker, because I asked Sam, and Sam said, I'm really not on that anymore. I'm more into my electronic thing. But you should ask Michael. I'm going, well, I don't really know Michael. He goes, well, I'll introduce you. I'll talk to him and I'll see what he says. So he says, yeah, Michael said, call him. So I called him and I told him what was going on. And he said, all right, I'll go and I'll do it. I'll do it, And so he played on 2 cuts on my first album. And it was like brilliant. He played amazing shit. It really was amazing. I was in heaven listening to him, even though I had messed up the session a bunch with not a great chart for him. He still overcome and was great, and really gave me a shock.
Now, in those days, there were a lot of sessions, and there were a group of musicians who, with little notice, could go into a studio and make some magic on a first take or a second take. Was that the way that Michael worked? Michael,
I think that what happens is that as you do it more, you understand what the technique is in the studio. You learn what it is. You learn what you have to do. And Michael learned his lessons really well and understood how to play on jingles, how to play on singing. But he also had that rare gift of being a pop player as well, understanding how to play rock and pop, because he did that before he came to New York. He was in rock bands, and and that's what he said. When he came, he understood, and he was getting work that was on pop stuff also. So he was in another place than all these other guys were. The other guys could come in and play, but they were playing like jazz solos also. Michael knew how to craft a pop solo, and that helped him a lot. I know, get to the next step with some of these artists,
Yeah. Now, before we talk about you helping Michael with his electronic components, did you do any other sessions with him where you hired him for a session?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
I mean, he's on 10 of my albums, I mean, he's on 10 of my albums. And, I think that one of the reasons why that he really got into what I was doing was I wasn't asking him to play jazz solos. I was coming from a different place. You might check out this, like my Miles to Miles album. We were home and he called me up one day and he goes, I just thought I'd give you a call, see what's happening. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here working on this track, man. I'm telling you, I think I got something cool happening. And I played him the track over the phone. And he goes, Jay, that's freaking great. You know what I mean? Oh, Gewalt, I love that, So I said, yeah, he goes, send it to me right now. Send it to me. Put it in FedEx. Send it to me. Get it to me by tomorrow. I got an idea. Really? He goes, yeah. I send it to him and I run out of burn a CD. I just look like a quick mix on it and everything. I send it to him. And the next thing you know, he calls me up like the later there. He sent it to me for the morning. You know what I mean? But, okay, I'll do it. FedEx 10:30 delivery, So the next thing you know, like about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a call. I got this, man. Listen to it over the phone. And I started listening. I'm going, oh my God, man. Wow. And it turned out to be my tune Ferrari from my Miles to Miles album. And Michael heard it. And I knew it was special because he played soprano sax on it. And it's one of the rare occasions where you can hear Michael play soprano sax. And he just didn't play soprano sax. He blew the freaking door off the thing, man, where people would ask me, who is that on soprano sax? I'm going, it's Michael Brecker. What? You got Mike to play soprano sax? I'm going, no, he decided to play soprano sax. But and all of a sudden we started co-writing together on stuff. We co-wrote a few things together, like on my Maximum Grooves album, we did this tune called Crazy Eyes, and he did that, and that was really great. And then I arranged the tune for the Brecker brothers with him, you know, and of course I did his album with Escher Sketch, which was a milestone I felt also. So I mean, we worked like in there. He knew exactly, you know, what it was that I was that attracted him to me, you know what I mean? Because it never was just like something that was ordinary, like the Sting track, you know what I mean? And he was the first one to pick it up, like, we can't do this solo. Why not? It's too jazz. You got a hit song over here. We got to make this like a hit song solo. And he went back in there and did it, man. And it's like freaking perfect. Is it complicated? It is simple. But sometimes to play the most simplest stuff is the hardest.
Now,
and he's brilliant on that.
Did you help him with getting sounds together for the Iwi?
Yeah. Well, you know, I kind of led him on the path. You know what I mean? I led him on the path of like seeing, you know, he always knew that he could talk. And like when there was a show, like the AES show in New York or something like that, you know, he called me up and he said to me, you know, I'm so busy and everything. I'm going, what's going on with the AES show? And I said to him, you know, hey, come on down. I'll just take you to the hip places and introduce you to everybody. I was like, oh man, it'd be great. So I meet him at like the Javits Center or someplace like that, you know, and I take him around to like all the ones that he would want to see, you know what I mean? And people would go, oh my God, Jason brought Michael Brecker over to my booth, man. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? But that was stuff that would be directly reflective for what he could use instead of walking around figuring, what am I doing here? Oh my God, I just got like 5 hours. You know what I mean? So he always knew that, like, you know, he could call me and I'd tell him what was happening. That would be good for him. And I got him into the Oberheim stuff, you know, the Oberheim, you know, the expander, which was a freaking godsend to him because he can control his breath and all of the stuff through that instrument. It was great. And stack sounds and stack layers.
AES stands for what?
Audio Engineering Society.
Okay. Let's close up by talking about Michael Brecker, the person.
Yeah.
You knew Mike through his different stages.
Yeah.
When he wasn't so clean, when he was clean.
Absolutely.
His great success, his wonderful marriage, and then unfortunately, you know, his tragic ending. Could you share something with our many viewers about Michael Brecker, the person?
I can just tell you, man, that, you know, that it's very, very honest, man, that I don't know whether I have the same career if it isn't for Michael. Because when I reconnected with Michael, and it's a story in my book, it's a story in my book called January 24th, 1984. And I'm not going to tell it because you're going to buy the book and read the story. And it's a wonderful story too, an amazingly wonderful story that's very uplifting. And, you know, he was the one that was telling all these producers in New York, and I didn't even know that, you know, well, why aren't you using Jason Miles, man? This guy's freaking amazing. You know what I mean? But really, you know, oh, you know, FM, the DX7 and all this stuff. I mean, this is the guy. Well, I know Jason, but okay, I get, you know, because I knew the people, but I wasn't recommended the same way. But when you got a recommendation from Michael, all of a sudden that was like, Michael Brecker, man, come on. Like when I mixed my first album and he turned me onto the House of Music, I called up there and said, well, Michael Brecker recommended, he's my friend. What do you need? You know what I mean? You know, Michael was held on such a high regard.
Yeah,
all wonderful things, you know, through Michael, you know, happened. And that's how he hooked up with Marcus Miller, you know, because Michael told Lenny White about me, and then Lenny White, you know, reconnected me with Marcus after he was on my first album. And, you know, we went through all of this time, man, you know, telling me, you know, we in the middle, but here's the whole thing also. I appreciated what he was and how the time factor was. When you know people like that, the best thing you can do is not take up all their time when it's not needed. When you're there with them and it's happening, we're in the studio, we hang, we talk, you know, all this other stuff, you know. I always was house and play. When it's over, leave it, man. The guy's busy. You know what I mean? You know, just be a part of when it's your time to be a part of that. And I think that that was a real positive thing about myself, that I knew when to be a part of it and when not to be a part of it with all the people that I worked for. And Michael was just so giving all the time, man. It was so giving and so warm. And, you know, I don't know, man. I think sometimes, man, that life just isn't fair when people like him are taken away. And, you know, the last thing that he wrote to me in January before he died, he wrote me an email. We were connecting a lot on email more than, because I knew he was tired and I didn't want to go there and, you know, take away any time with the family or anything like that. We visited him, but you know, we emailed a lot, you know, and a lot of it was about the Yankees and, you know, food and all this other stuff, you know. And I said to him, he said to me at the end, Jay, I just want to remember this, man. Don't let it go by without having some fun, man. Go out and have fun. You know, you deserve it. And, you know, I choke up when I say this, man. I mean, you know, because I feel like it's yesterday, you know. I'm looking on my wall over here. We got some great pictures together. You know what I mean? I mean, awesome pictures together. We had a lot of fun together, doing a lot of music and great times. And, you know, I was a piece of the puzzle. That's what I was. I was one of the pieces of the 1,000 pieces of the puzzle that Michael had. And I'm knowing that it was a good piece.